And pledge allegiance to the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
And the next thing on the agenda is to establish a quorum. We are missing Sean Taylor and Tom Sledge, so we have a quorum. The next thing is the comments for the record that was established last year by Mr. Roach, and I don't have anything today to add, so we will pass on that. The next thing are comments from the members. This is, you get 2 opportunities during the meeting, and this is the first one. So Rich will give you a microphone. Please state your name and lot number for the record. Anybody with a comment? Okay. Being none, the next thing on the agenda is to approve the February 19th, 2024 minutes. You should have gotten those late last night from Nancy. If you have a comment or a correction, please do so now. Having none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the February 19th, 2024 meeting? Nancy moved, Larry seconds. All in favor? And it passes. Okay, the next one is the minutes of the organizational board meeting of March 9th, 2024. Any comments or corrections to that? There being none, is there a motion to approve? Nancy, motion. Dylan, seconds. All in favor, please raise your hand. It passed. Okay, the next thing is the financial update by Treasurer Bria Ballard.
First PowerPoint.
Is it? No, it's not up there.
The bottom right. Over to the left a little bit. The left icon.
This one here. Oh.
All right, the financial report for February's financials. Next slide, please. All right, you can see here, nothing in a loss. Our revenue is above budget by over 14,000. Expenses are below by almost 30,000. Our actual net revenue is $62,000 to the positive. To budget, our net revenue was 17,000. That's the overall positive, 44,409 for the month. And for a year to date, we are a total of $136,792 positive. Another note is interest income from our investments for the month was over 26,000. Year to date, over 34,000. I believe that was for a couple CDs that we changed over this month. Next slide. Lodge, food, and beverage financials. Actual to budget for revenue was a positive 16,000. Actual to budget for expense was over budget by over 7,000. So February actual was a loss of 12,000 to our budget of 21,044, which is actually a positive for the budget. So our actual budget was almost a $9,000 positive. Year year to date for the lodge, we are positive 28,199. And that is just for food and beverage. Next slide, please. For the highlights of the revenue, again, the lodge was positive 16,178. Interest income from the CDs was at 2,200. Miscellaneous, which is basically postage from the fire department mailing, was over 1,000. Lake fees were $1,000 over projected. Sanitation, just due to actually timing and paying sales tax, we were negative 1,500. And building permits were over $5,000 below plan. All others were in the positive. Next slide. For the actual budget for expenses, and almost, diddle down the line, salaries have been way below budget. So we have a positive for golf maintenance, public works, and admin, which is almost all of the salaries and benefits being below budgeted. Roads, patching some on the each side for the water department road cuts. We have reimbursement of 2,000. Lodge and food, we had some purchases of budget. So that was a negative, mostly for just inventory of food and liquor. All others, 1,200. Next slide. All balances are to the positive. RFR, LMRF, and CDRF all increased. CDRF, the increase is due again to the investments. The interest is applied percentage-wise across the fund reserves. Delinquent accounts are down a little bit. Most of them are your 90 days, staying pretty steady at the 10 accounts that are been over 90 days for delinquent accounts. But other than that, delinquents are fairly low and decreasing. I mean, it's the first time we've been below 30 in a while. Cool. Next slide. Our balances of accounts. I think they are. I think you just didn't change the month on the top. No, because they're all different from January. Yeah. No, that's, I mean, for the financial stuff. Yeah. Next slide. I mean, those are say February. This says January, but those are our balances. You can look at the actual financial report, and that's what they are. So just in the bank account, we have 160,000. Reserve funds total 4.1 for a total balance of 4272. And then our investment accounts again, invested across the board, pretty much either close to or over 5% in CDs and treasury funds. For the year again, we have over 26,000 for this month, for a total of 37,000 for the year. Next slide. CPU, 3.1 total, 3.9 for minus food and energy. For DFW, 12 months is 5.3%. All items less food is 6.2%, which is second worst out of the 23 major metropolitan areas tracked. And goods and services are still just about 1% from January. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So progressing on to committee and business updates. The first one is to review and take possible action of committee changes. I'm going to read these to you, and there's only a couple of meaningful changes as far as sort of a policy change, so I'll get to that. Architectural control, no change. Celebration, Nancy has agreed to take that another year, and we're adding Lisa Fultz to that committee. The Covenant and Bylaw Committee, Sean Taylor is taking over from Corky on that, but he is remaining on the committee. We're removing John Roach and adding Ronnie Phillips to that committee. The Donation Advisory Committee, the only change we're making there is to make sure it shows Lori Brindle as the chair of that committee. The Election Committee with Kathy Gray, there's no changes. Front entrance with Jim Fox, we're adding Scott Manning. The Golf Committee, there's no changes. Human Resources, chaired by Gerald Smith. We're removing John Roach and Dean McElroy and adding Bria Ballard and Larry Wisnat. Information systems with Kathy Gray, no change. Lake management with Cecil Heath, no change. Land use, 52 acres. Gerald Smith has agreed to take that committee as chairman. We're adding, of course, we're changing Gerald Smith to the chair. We're adding Dylan Ott and Jim Fox to that committee. What we're asking them to do with that committee is to focus on developing the 52 acres. And there's a little piece of land on the other side of Kiowa West. It's by the lake that we wanted to look at, particularly for something there. With the possibility of the 9-hole course being up there, that gives us an opportunity to do some developing to that property that we haven't had before. And so we want to make sure that we take advantage of all of that. And in due time, we may, because of some other expenses that we're going to have to spend on the thing that keeps the lake in place. We may have to delay a little bit of some of that development, but hopefully not. So anyway, that's what we want to do there. Lodge and Tavern with Dean, we're adding Ronnie Phillips. The goal there is let Ronnie get his feet on the ground and learn what to do, what we're doing in that committee, and then have him about 6 months out slot with Dean. Long range planning, Nancy Jackson, no changes. Nominating, Larry Wisnat is going to chair that, and Corky is going to be removed from that committee. And we will add someone later in the summer. Parks and Rec, Larry, no change there. Rules enforcement with George on, no changes there. Safety and security, Jim Hess, we're removing Bria and Melanie Kirkland. She has sold her house and leased a lot back, but she can't be on the committee if you're a lessee. So that's unfortunate because she's really good. And then we're adding Dylan Ott to that committee. Ways and Means with Dan Bessie, we're adding Bria Ballard to that committee, and we're removing me. So the committee changes as they stand at this point. There will be some more changes next month, and we'll hopefully wrap that up. So having said all that, is there a motion to approve this as stated? Dean moves, Nancy seconds. All in favor? Are there any comments? Sorry.
I have some comments.
Okay.
I want to make a motion here to have the chairs of each committee provide just a short summary of the activities of their committee to include.
Okay, hold on. We'll get there.
Okay.
Just hang on a second. Anyway, so we have a motion by Dean, second by Nancy. Any other comments? Okay. All in favor say aye or raise your hand. All right. 7 yes. 8 now. We'll get through this, I promise.
In an effort to, I guess, aid to transparency of what's going on with the board and the committees, I'd like to make a motion to have the chairs of each committee provide a short summary, including the, I guess, goals and objectives of that committee to the board sometime during the year with an annual update to be published in the community.
Did everybody hear that? Okay, so what we're hearing, see if I can say it for you. What we're hearing and continue to hear is that there's a transparency problem. And so one of the ways to fix some of that is to have the committees come forward at least once a year with what they're working on. I mean, the Lake Committee does a great job of this. You know, what they're working on, what their goals for the year are, and what they're doing to reach those goals, and what issues they're facing. Because sometimes we don't know, you know, because we don't hear from the committee, or unless we happen to read it on Nextdoor or something like that. I mean, the board sometimes doesn't know that there's an issue that needs to be addressed, and so we're trying to do that in a manner that, you know, the people that are actually working on the ground floor before it gets to us can tell us what the issues are, and maybe we can help, or we can get them more resources or whatever. So we would like the committee chairs to come to us once a year, at least once a year, with that kind of information, just to brief us. You don't have to make it a magnus opus, you know, just, you know, something that we can tell what's going on.
Just put it, yeah, just put it on a slide, maybe one slide. Just, you know, here's our activities for the year, here's our goals and objectives for the year.
Yeah, if we just put it in on one slide, maybe a 5-minute, 15-minute at the max presentation to the board, and then have that published in the communique.
Are there any further questions?
So I heard you ask for goals from the committee, and then also heard you ask for a report. So should we have goals from the committee that they provide that to us by, let's say, the 1st of May or the May meeting? And then they give a report later on during the year of the process toward those goals?
I think optimally that would be the case, but since we have committees that really don't meet, but maybe a couple of times during the year, I think at least starting off, just have them include their goals and objectives for the year, maybe where they're at, and then next year to do the same thing, and maybe be a little more fitting to report on how they were doing meeting those goals and objectives.
Some of the
It's not that's going to crowd everything to the front of the year, Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Thank you. Motion's already.
All right, you want, who seconds? Anybody second? Thank you, Nancy. Any further questions, comments? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. The next item on the agenda is consider and take possible action to approve Part 3 group as an approved organization for reservation purposes. Dean McElroy.
Okay, yes, we will want to make the Part 3 group a official club. And we have that in your packet. If you want to read there on the contacts and everything, we do this occasionally when people ask, and Part 3 has to rent rooms and meetings, and it just makes everything go smoother if we're official. So I presenting that to the board. You want me to put that in a motion? Please. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Part 3 group is a property owns, is a Lake Kiowa POA group. Official organization.
Okay. 20 seconds. Any comments? Comments? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it passes. Okay. The next item is consider and take possible action on the initiation fee policy. Rich?
Our work session for part three, then?
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, sorry, thank you. Consider take possible action on the schedule part three, work sessions. Dave?
Yes, so, as you know, the part three was passed, and, and just talking to some of the board members and others that, we feel like it would be very beneficial if we could just have a work session. The 27th of this month, that's Wednesday, and we were thinking at 6, so people could get, some people work and could get to this meeting. There wouldn't be any official votes. We just want to go through and present where we're at and answer any kind of questions. We thought that we'd have Lori from the Rules Committee and, oh, I'm sorry, yes, from Donations Committee, and, Dan Bessie would probably attend, or if not that, he would help us put the packet together, from the Ways and Means, and, just go over all the questions, catch everybody up where we are, the scope of the work, where we are in funding, and then, and I'm just gonna throw this out, I know it's a lot of work, and, I appreciate your attention to this, but then we would talk maybe in that, and I'm not, sure if we need to, get that approved here, or could we approve another meeting in the work session? Have to approve it here. So I would like to schedule a meeting for the board where we could take votes or actions on what we talk about in the work session, April 3rd, which is another Wednesday, the Wednesday after. And the reason why is, the part three, is very close. Well, we raised, basically 2/3 of the amount we've had in pledge. And if we can get started, on the par three, we could actually be golfing this year. Now, there's a window to get started, to grow the grass. And if you miss that window, which would be June, then you're looking at the 25 before we can get it done. So that's the urgency. If we can raise the money, by May, by the end of, May or into April, we could probably have a golf course this year. And so we're just trying to see if we can get that done. So that's the reason for the second meeting, so we can go ahead and vote and take action on, stuff we discussed in the work session. Some of the stuff that we're going to discuss in the work session, would enable us, for example, to go to, and get commercial money out there and get some businesses to donate. But we want the board, we want to run it all by the board, what we'd like to offer, what we can do and get that approved before we go out and try to do that. So that would be discussed in the workshop, and then we could vote on it in the first day. Any questions?
So you want to schedule 2 meetings or more meetings between now and the next board meeting?
Yes. So the first meeting is a workshop. That would be on the 27th. That's a Wednesday at 6. That's the most important one. That's where we want to catch everybody up to speed. And then if that meeting goes well and everybody's in agreement, we would like to meet April and take action on some of the things we talked about. Now, if in the work, we could cancel it. If in the workshop we don't agree, then there's no sense meeting. I mean, there's things that, if there's nothing to approve, there's no sense meeting.
Do you have a date? Do you have a date for the second one?
3rd. And you will be getting a packet. If we can agree on this, you will be getting a packet, Wednesday of this week. for the meeting next Wednesday, and it will have in it everything we're gonna discuss, so you'll have time to look over it and get your mind wrapped around it, get questions, and then we can, talk about it in the workshop.
Are there any other comments, any discussion?
Can everyone do that? Okay, great. Awesome.
Okay, if you want to move,
I move that, we approve a workshop meeting on the 27th of this month. And then an additional April, the 3rd meeting, official meeting to vote.
Both of them at 6 p.m.
Yes. Thank you very much.
is there a second? Ritter? You want to take them as a group or do you want them individually? Does anybody have a problem on either day? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, good. Okay. Now we'll go. Consider and take possible action on the initiation. Rich?
Is there a slide for that?
And Mike, good size Word document, if you can pull that up. You all have in your packet initiation fee policy. And I don't know if you read the initiation fee announcement from last month in the communique. Most of these excerpts from that, basically, this is trying to get more information to the realtors, title companies, everyone, just so there's a clear understanding of, you know, what the fee is, what's it going to be used for, how it's going to be implemented. I did change some of the wording from some comments after I had put this in your packet. Some of the wording, new member, first-time buyers, a little confusing to realtors. So basically, we're just saying that this, you know, any buyer purchasing property in Lake Kiowa that are not currently members. So if they're not currently members, the fee would be outlet. And then just going forward to what's the fee going to be used for? It's going to be for O&M funds, capital reserve funds for basically all our facilities, infrastructure. And then especially noted the dam, since a lot of the work on the dam has lower prices and costs, that this money, and again, it's going to be all accumulated over the year. And then in the next budget, the monies that are brought in from this fee will be used and designated for these areas in the upcoming budget. So we'll know exactly where all the money from the fee is going. And then this fee, again, it's going to be deducted at closing. We'll communicate with title companies. It's 1 month or 1 year of dues, which is $3,687.60, which doesn't include the garbage fee, which was another question. And then just goes down and trying to figure out exceptions or certain circumstances that we would waive this or it wouldn't be applicable for members who relinquish their membership for some reason, for some period of time. Let's say, you know, they sell their house and they're going to lease the place for 6 months until they can find someplace else. You know, we'll give them 180 days to find another home to purchase. So that way they wouldn't have to pay the fee on the next purchase. There might be a situation where a house is under construction by a builder. They don't technically own it yet. So give them a little leeway until that house closes so that they won't have to pay the fee. So just trying to think of those circumstances, those conditions that, you know, if they come to us beforehand while they're still members with what their intent is, maybe we can waive the fee because there's probably maybe numerous circumstances that can be brought to us that we will examine those on a case-by-case basis. But they have to come to us before they are non-members. They have to know their plans before they sell their home. Any other comments?
Just so we're all clear, the year's worth of POA dues in the specific buckets will come out just like a regular month's POA dues. X% to O&M, X% to CARF, X% to ARF, or is that incorrect?
No, at closing, they'll pay the entire sum. So that'll go into just, an account, will be an O&M account. We won't have a balanced budget at the end of the year. So we'll have whatever we collect in 2024, we'll examine our budget going to 2025, and then we'll say where those fees will be dispersed to. But they'll have to be in O&M or our fund, and then if they get spent on roads, dam, that will be decided,
Just a couple of questions, Bridge. First with the amount, 307.30. Is there a fee that's supposed to drop off next month? Because I think this month is.
that doesn't include garbage, like I said, so those are just your dues, not including the garbage fee.
Okay, I'm sorry, you did say that. Okay,
And then in there, it says every year, depending on what the dues go up, fee will increase year to year, depending on what percentage of the dues go up.
okay. Next question with regard to the collection of the fee. Is there a way to make it, the payment of the fee condition on receipt? What is the certificate that you receive that's involved on? Is there a certificate that's issued by the POA?
When at closing, there's the sale, certificate that the title company will call for, and it'll be same thing with the fee we charge now, this will be just an additional fee. So it'll all be done at closing.
Okay, but you just have to continue to see that if it's not done at closing, it'll be.
That'll just be on your statement, let's just say.
But is that gonna happen? I'm just curious and just see.
Well,
practical implications of collecting.
Well, it happens now with our sales certificate. For some reason, a sale goes through, and then they come in for membership and said, all the paperwork wasn't done properly. So this is due, it's conditions of the purchase, but it, you know, they made a mistake. So we're not responsible for their mistake. When they come in and they do their membership papers and they bring in their deed, if everything wasn't done properly, it'll get applied.
Okay, so that does happen from time to time.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Finally, with regard to, let's see. Where you see residents, we're not looking at the second to last paragraph. The second sentence, persons who were once members and moved away and were not residents of Lake Kiowa.
For any period of time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the operative like position is being a property owner, right? Not necessarily a resident. Yeah. So in terms of you can own property, be a member without living in the common.
That would be an order.
Okay, I guess I'm thick. Can you explain the last bullet point?
The last bullet point, new home under construction, under contract, but not occupiable at the time of sale of current residence. So let's say you sold your house and then you're somewhere, you move out of Kiowa and you lease for 6 months because let's say Dashwood Homes is building a home. You have a contract on that house, but you can't close and it's not done until that builder signs it over to you and it's occupied.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I'm concerned about the language that existing current members will be exempt because as we all know, the real estate contract is going to control who pays what expense. And I know I've already changed my contract for Lake Kiowa buyers that the seller is going to pay that fee. If we say they're exempt and the contract is contrary to that, they're not actually going to be exempt. So we may need some language that covers that instance.
If you could suggest something or that, I don't quite understand.
Well, that's a negotiated, who pays that fee is a negotiated thing. It's not, I mean, it's not mandatory that the seller pay that fee.
I'm just concerned about the language that our policy states that they will be exempt, and then we get tied up in a contractual issue. So we may say something to the effect that Lake Kiowa will charge the prospective buyer rather than the member will be exempt.
James?
I think that would work, use that unless negotiated in the sale or something like that. We could, a couple of institutions could address that.
You can get with Rich. So we'll pass on the vote this month and see next month.
All right, so,
See you back here.
oh, this one, I'll be here. This is supposed to go into effect April 1st, which is,
No, we're not missing April. It's already out there. It's been published, it's out there.
the fees
What we're
approved.
going to do here is make some exceptions where we don't. Our meeting April 3rd. Excellent idea.
If you want to vote on April 3rd, it has to be added to the agenda. And it has to be part of the purpose of that special meeting. So that means you gotta vote for it. I mean, you gotta make a motion to say that's gonna be included in that agenda, because it's a special meeting. So you're protecting the members that we're not gonna vote for other things without their knowledge.
We can make a motion.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we consider this on the April 3rd meeting.
The second. Okay. Any other comments? All in favor, raise your hand. Tom. Pass. Next thing is the LKACC consider to take possible action regarding the river otters. Please.
Good afternoon. Those of you who do not know me, I am Cecil D. Lot 297, currently president of the LKACC, the Anglican Conservation Club. Also am now the presiding chairperson for the Lake Committee, but I am representing LKACC tonight. We've got a slide presentation. Get it up. All right. We're all aware, we all know, we live out in a community that's out in the country, and we do have wildlife that is either within our boundaries or on the outside. Numbers of those could be, we have geese, we have birds that come in, migratory birds, cormorants and pelicans. We've got other things that come in at times. We've had beavers. So we have river otters here at Lake Kiowa. They've been here for a while in small numbers. If you go back. So my question to you folks is, are they cute, cuddly, and friendly? Yeah, the answer to that is not so much. They aren't. Those are young, but in general, they are not. Next slide. They're a wildlife predator. So what do they do? Next slide. I want to talk to you about the truth about otters. Otters here, they have a great ability to travel. They will populate, as you can see, but their male otters especially have a 30 to 35 mile radius that they'll call the territory. Where did they come from to get to Lake Kiowa? They came from Ray Roberts, probably, most likely. They've been here for a few years in very small numbers. A female, again, can litter up to anywhere from 3 to 6 pups per year. I mean, when you're looking at otters, they're a lot like beavers, except there is a difference, and I'll explain that later. Again, they're extremely adept at being a hunter and a predator. They'll go through and they'll eat 50 to 20% of their body weight per day. So what does that mean? And I want to talk about what they do eat. Their diet is mostly, you call it bait fish or game fish, mostly game fish. They will eat crustaceans and they'll eat small mammals. They've been known to, and again, if you live on the lake and you have a pet, and if you get close to, you go back to that first picture and see a brood of 6 sitting on the land or on your dock. If your puppy gets too close, a male will have it very quickly. Would they attack humans? They will not go after you unless you are in their space. But if you go down on your dock area and I've gotten several pictures over the last few months of spottings of 4 to 6 regularly. So what do we have here? We don't know. So I'll get to what our plan will be. But they do, eat, and they're a very aggressive. Things that they do, they have a high metabolism rate, and they like to play, and they like to hunt. Not only will they hunt to eat, but they just hunt to hunt. When I talk about what they eat, they're also killing fish that they just leave. They let go. Again, I didn't do this on a whim. I've probably spent close to 5 hours with 3 different sources. Texas Parks and Wildlife Division, the North Texas fellow that's been a contact out here for years. I've spoken with him. I've also spoken with our biologist. We use American Sport Fish as the biological company that deals with doing our annual surveys for the lake. We do 2 a year. When he found out we had river otters out here, his eyes got off the side of saucers. He said, they're the worst predator you can have especially a small impoundment. They'll clean out a small impoundment and then they'll move on. They'll travel. Again, like I told you, their day consists of playing, and sleeping, but it's also hunting. I've also spoke with a fellow that's by the name of Ken Podberny. He's out of Whitesboro. He's local. He was a federal wildlife manager for a 3-state territory for over 30 years. He does have his own private company, and he works North Texas. He's all over the place. He's doing anything in wildlife management, from wild boar hogs to beavers to coyotes, whatever it is. But when I was in contact, how I got contact was through American Sport Fish. And when I spoke with him, he said, small impoundments, the game, any type of fish food that's in that pond will be gone. They'll even go someplace else. Here, we don't know. So next slide. They're present. We've seen sightings increase over the last year. Groupings, of matures and youngs that we have, and we have males who are here brooding. Matter of fact, the sightings that we've had one resident who said, I woke up in the morning, I don't like the blood that ends up on my docks, or they'll climb up on boat covers and sit on boat covers if you have your boat down too low. But she said to wake up in the morning and open my blinds and see 2 of them fornicating on my dock was too much to handle. So it is brooding season. It's prime brooding season for them. So they will do some minor damage. The real impact is to our fish population. And it's almost impossible to give you a firm number and estimate, but it is a negative impact. And at some point in time, depending on, like we've had to deal with before, geese or beavers, you let wildlife get out of control and you will see the impact of that. Now, again, go to the next slide. So what the actions that I'm proposing are required. We do have an otter population. Again, you'll see the fellow's name up there and the company that he owns. When to do an assessment, he will come in here and do an assessment. He will set up cameras, both cameras and video recording equipment in several different locations. And for us, the cost of that is, and he said $200, but it would be $200 to $300 for the LKACC to cover that. We're concerned. We are extremely concerned with otters in this lake. So we will go do an assessment. He will write a report and tell us exactly where we stand. If the recommendation is to perform an otter removal process, again, we'd use him. We'd get him in here over a 5 to 10 day period, he's gotta do his thing, he's gotta go out and get permits, he's gotta do things the right way. He'd use what he calls a beaver otter trap, and you trap, you know? What's the cost of this? He's estimated in that $3,000 to $5,000 range. We can help that out by, and the club would, LKACC, by going and monitoring. Both will go monitor the cameras and or monitor the traps, so it saves travel time for him. It saves us cost, but at some point there's just the cost of ultimately the traffic. You know, he could tell us our population is not a major it's a concern, but not a major concern yet, but it will get there. I promise you that. So what would we do? You know, we'd wait and we'd do another assessment in another year and go through that same process again. But what I'm proposing is that you allow us, the LKACC, to go do the assessment, get him in here, do the video recording and the pictures, and then come back with what he's recommending.
So you need us to vote on you're not asking us to spend any money today.
No, it's us, the club to get him in here for the $200 to do the assessment but be prepared to know and understand that if he recommends that we have a serious otter problem, that the club will come back and say, we're requesting removal, and that would be what I propose is a split to us between Lake Kiowa and the Anglers Association.
Are there any questions?
Cecil, so when do you plan on doing the assessment?
I've talked to Kim today, and he can be out here as early as Friday. It could be next week, sooner the better. We're getting closer to the end of breeding season, so it'd be nice to get, if it's Friday or it's next week, but he will come out here and get those cameras set up quickly.
So would you be asking for money before our next regularly scheduled meeting?
It depends on how serious the problem is. I would say yes, and it would be just be fair that we'd want to go through, and I would say limit your cap to no more than $2,500 expenditure for the POA.
Okay, can we postpone the vote on that until the next regularly scheduled?
Yeah, the earth's not going to drop off. Yeah, we're not going to drop off the face if we don't do anything.
But
yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
How much does the intelligence depend on timing? Like if we vote on this on the next regularly scheduled meeting in April, will the intelligence is this change daily or weekly?
No,
it's still valuable.
It's a long-term thing. I can just tell you, depending on his sightings, what happens with otters is you'll see these groups of 6. First we were seeing 1s and 2s together, then you see on the dots, I've got all kinds of pictures and videos of 6 at times. So we don't know if we have 1 brood of 6 or 2 or 3 broods of 6. Chances are we don't have 2 or 3. We may have 2. We may have in the 10 to 15 range here. What has happened is it's breeding season, so those males have been in here. You're going to get another litter of pups. They stay in the den for up to 2 months. Plus, they don't venture at all, and they don't even come out. And you see them swimming in the water. They're probably 3 or 4 months old this summer. So then that population climbs. So do the math and do 4 pounds per hour of fish, and that's game fish out of here by every otter every day of the year.
Well, it needs to happen faster than the April meeting. Rich has, under the new bylaws, can spend up to $2,500 and just report it to us.
And so we'll work through that.
Okay. All right.
I just want the assessment first.
All right. Thank you very much.
Motion that we pass the assessment on the audit.
I don't think we need to do that.
know, will be.
Do
the assessment. Yeah, they're gonna take an assessment of how many audits they're paying. Look, we allow them on our lake. Okay.
No, I think we allow them all their, out there. Wow.
All right.
The expenditure on the part of the, okay,
Right. Okay, the next is,
are we not taking any action at first?
next is the Rules Committee review that promotes rules change and take possible actions. George.
Two real quick, easy ones. These are really minor modifications, to existing rules, more so to define what certain vehicles are, for 3321 vehicle use and traffic laws. We just define different types of off-road vehicles, and that there are no exceptions to those types of vehicles. So it's merely to clarify an existing rule. Questions?
So are we allowing them or not?
We're not.
Okay.
And securities has some issues with people that say, hey, because it's a licensed off-road vehicle, they can drive around town. So we've taken exception to that, and we've modified the rule to be more explanatory on what those off-road vehicles are, what is and is not allowed.
Okay. We probably need to post this.
We do.
Okay. So is there a motion on this? Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? So Rich will get that posted in constant contact. Thank you. Good job.
Next slide. We got one more.
Sorry.
It should be in your packet. It's parking setback. And really the change here is just instead of measuring from the property line, nobody knows where it is, to using the edge of the asphalt pavement. That's the modification. Makes it easier for members to know what it is, makes it easier to know the security and community managers and people responsible for making sure that the vehicles are properly set back to know where it is, easy to measure. Yeah.
Okay, so where, excuse my ignorance, but where is the proper line usually in the middle of the road?
The property line is usually about 15 feet, so we're giving them about a 10 foot, 15 foot leeway. But normally the property line, per reference, the road is 60 feet right away, and the road is 20 feet. So property line can be 20 feet from the asphalt into the property, so we're giving them an additional like 15, 20 feet leeway.
I was thinking if it's in the middle and someone poured a slab to store their RV and check the distance, and now we made it.
No, we're giving them more grace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments or further questions? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve these revisions.
Okay. Second? Fred? Any other comments?
Just a administrative clarification. So I need Sean to look at that last sentence. It says watercraft is exempt or are exempt.
Just add A to the front.
Pressure shot.
So watercraft is a collective noun, right? So,
All water.
yeah, right. These are.
It's hard. In both paragraphs. Thank you.
I'll revise my motion to be put in a new language.
Thank you. And you'll remain second. Okay. Okay. All in favor? All right, the next thing on the agenda is front entrance committee project update, take possible action. Jim Fox.
Thank you. I wanted to spend a couple minutes updating you on, okay. So, kind of a little background. We've got a couple of new board members here, so I thought, but I heard a little confusion in the community also prior to the election about what we're doing. So I thought maybe just recapping quickly the concept, might help a little bit, and then tell you a little bit about the status of where we're at. So the long-term plan, this was what the front entrance committee, our charge was to look at the whole front entrance, not just the guardhouse or that. So we put together this long-term plan, and these are some of the reasons why we felt like this plan was important. We really needed to increase the lane width at the guardhouse. Those lanes up there are barely 12 feet wide. Big vehicles have trouble getting through there. We've got some circulation issues and the ability to turn around. Vehicles denied entry. They have a real hard time turning around without going into the community and coming back out again. This plan would also flip the member lane, which is on the right now, and move it to the left. So your express would be on the left and visitor vendor lane would be on the right. What this plan also did was maintain the ingress staffing capacity that we had from 902. And Melanie's and her staff done a great job of mitigating that problem anyway, but just we wanted to maintain that. It helps with both ingress and egress, the quarantine process for checking in, checking out process too. You'll note that the log cabin's now gone, but the long-term plan didn't contemplate a POA facility of some sort, basically where that log cabin was. So this is kind of where we're at right now. And the plan was to build a new guard hut. There is a much smaller facility than the guardhouse currently. We house what we call the traffic management functions in there. So the window attendant and the person that currently sits with all those computer monitors that looks at these gates and other things, they can communicate together and they'd be housed there. We believe there'd be enough space for a third person during peak traffic problems and stuff like that at the guard hut. What that allows us to do is to remodel the guardhouse to help with the support functions, Melanie's office, the break room, storage, that type of thing within the guardhouse, and not have to worry about that traffic management function in there. That also minimizes the expenditures for that guardhouse, so that in the future, some of those support functions could move into a new POA facility. We don't know what all that POA facility might be at this point in time. There's been a lot of discussion whether it was offices or community rooms or meeting spaces or that type of thing. The guardhouse could be demolished after that facility is built and help improve your aesthetics of your front entrance as you come in there. You know that again, this plan allows for the expansion of parking. There's a staff little parking area over there right now, but we could expand that, which would be necessary if we had a POA facility up there and bring people. They could get to it without having to leave the community and come back.
So, long term, we're gonna be looking at updating some of the entrance landscaping, trying to improve things up there. You could add hardscape, art flags, water features, if the community chose to do that. One thing we are planning for right now are those added gates. What's at the very top there, it says add security gates. That would be necessary if we move away from a 24/7, 365 operation. Right now, there's very limited traffic between 11 midnight, and 6 to 5, something like that. So we've got a person sitting up there monitoring half a dozen vehicles coming through. And it's possible we could save some money by not having to staff that. Then you need a trap area, kind of like you have at the east gate, and you could have a couple of gates up there and have those security gates. So we're not planning to actually build those right now, but the infrastructure for those added security gates would be there in the current plan. And then, of course, some signage, especially traffic guidance will be needed. The current community master plan shows an access road that goes along that property line, goes over to the existing POA facility and public works area and stuff like that. Again, this plan allows that to be, allows for that space. We could add a porte cochere if we wanted to protect that window attendant from the visitors that are coming in while that window's open during weather. And then, so really this plan just has a lot of flexible options. Trying to say. So planned improvements we're working on right now are the lane improvements. Remodeling the guardhouse and building that new guard hut. We probably would have a little bit of landscaping irrigation, some minor amounts so that would be the area. Of course, the log cabin's already gone. We've got some other costs that are going to be kind of within the process here. Temporary facilities, we're not quite certain how that's going to work yet, but obviously if we're constructing all this, we're going to have to remodeling the guardhouse to get a fine space for the people to operate for a little while. Utilities and septics. The message board that's out there right now is due for replacement in the ARP fund already, but this road would be right next to it. So it looks like we'll have to relocate that or come up with another idea of how to handle that message. So currently, Bluestone Partners are the architects and the lead consultant on this. They are subbing with JMG Engineering, which is doing the civil engineering work on this. And they have been working steadily on some of this, not as fast, I don't think, as we'd all like, but they are progressing. And I think at one of the last board meetings I shared that they did finish the survey work basically late fall, early winter on that. And you can't read all of that, but that was a lot of base information that we needed to do some of this. Came up sort of with a preliminary site plan, as we mentioned at the last time we showed you this. This was our proof of concept. This showed that what we came up with committee-wise is feasible. Civil engineering has been working on what you see there in gray is probably concrete. That's the way it's being looked at right now because of the weight of the vehicles that are coming in there and the turning radiuses and some of those things. They are not quite finished with the civil engineering plans. We're hoping real soon that we have that. We do have one thing that has been, this is part of the discovery process, is that there's an existing water line that runs, the bridge is under the road or it's right close to it right now.
It's just outside the city.
Yeah, which we have water lines under roads right now in multiple places, so this is not an unusual circumstance. But by doing this, we do have a water line and it's very close to the guard hut. So it appears that either it has to be relocated or one of the questions I keep asking is, what is that water line serving at the moment? If it was the lots that were down there, and I don't know if Rich has any more information on that.
Does the irrigation and the fire hydrant?
The fire hydrant is probably a key factor in that. But, we'll look at, we'll explore that a little bit further about what we need to do with that water line up there. The next few slides, they're just very preliminary. They jumped ahead a little bit and actually did a little bit of floor plan type thing to look at, but we've got a ways to go. We'll put on that, and that actually would be part of phase 3 of that a little bit. Regard very small. These are sample renderings. Again, it's not necessarily going to look like this. These are things, frankly, I generated out of a program that I have. So we'll have some better stuff later. But it did kind of show this type of dollhouse view, which kind of helped us visualize what we were talking about with the guardhouse and the guard hut. And this is an example of the porte cochere, whether it could be integrated or not. And also the message board is just an idea of whether we could put, rather than one great big board and kind of scroll slowly, whether we could have a couple of TV monitors there that would display maybe a little bit more information while you're at the gate. So there's different ways we can look at that too. So probably what you really want to know, a few cost estimates. We did get on the structures early on. We got some an estimated range from Bluestone. So the guardhouse itself, the remodel portion of that, they're looking at about $65,000 on the upper end of the range. So I'm just using that to be conservative. The guard hut new construction, about $50,000. So that subtotals $115,000. And that did not include a safe room or a new septic system. So again, we probably all likelihood will be the septic system, the safe room we'd like to do. So the total for the structure would be about $150,000. We don't know yet on the site work. Again, that's the engineering piece of this. It's not quite complete, and then there'll be some cost estimates done on that, hopefully very soon with that. We've got some potential, not really any permit fees that we are aware of to deal with this, but Bluestone would have an agreed upon cost on their portion of the machine project on that. So if we just look at that, the balance for the site work would be $200,000. With the approval of the front entrance in the election, we're very thankful for that. That would give us the ability to exceed that $400,000 limit if it's necessary on that. But again, I think you can see we're trying to keep it around that $400,000 mark. Again, there's some contingencies and water lines and a few things like that. So we'll see how that goes. So next step is to get a little bit more information on that. Finalize those civil engineering plans, look at the water line issue, estimate those site costs. We'll have to meet with Bluestone. We do have what they have been working on right now is we chose not to approve phase 3, which was the architectural piece of this in the agreement. We wanted to get through the feasibility portion of the civil and proof of concept. So that's what we paid for. And now we would be looking at another phase of the design proposal that maybe we pile on the April meeting. I don't know. Hopefully we'll have something pretty quick. So again, we've got to go through the architectural construction plans, and we've got to get through the floor plan and give staff on that type of input and meet with the committee again. And then a little farther down the line, we've got to get with technology, the IS committee here and talk about the gates and all that type of thing. It's going to be a very important piece of this. And construction timing, we probably don't want to start this on July 1st before everybody's coming here. So we'll talk about that too. So that's really all I have. Any comments or discussion? Again, appreciate you taking the time to kind of recap where we're at and what our status is.
Any more comment? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next one is number 9, community management report. Rich.
The Senior Community Manager Report, some funding requests. First one is, actually went through Ways and Means. I have an issue or situation in our funds for the tennis court, pickleball court on the East Beach. It's cracking, chipping away, to a degree that it needs to be researched as soon as possible. May cause actually injury from players. It's normally scheduled to be resurfaced every 5 years. Well, last time it was done was just a little over 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And it's scheduled to be done every 5 years. So what I'm asking here is to move it up in the schedule of years, and then also going forward, change the schedule from, instead of every 5 years, every 3 years. Just due to the conditions and the amount of use that it has, we'll have to increase the frequency of it being resurfaced. And the resurfacing cost was estimated before at 13,000 in ARF, and it's going to be 15,000 or approximately 15,000 now. If we add up the resurfacing, which is 14,300 plus another 600 some dollars for the redoing the net, so it's about a $15,000 total charge on ARF. So this is on the ARF schedule, but it's somewhat non-sufficient funds, but also the timing needs to be more frequent.
Any questions? Sean?
Rich, in your notes, you say that there's apparently insufficient vapor barrier in on the surface. Is that something that's fixable, or that just, it always will be that way?
No, it's not fixable. We basically have to tear it off and redo the foundation, or the foundation on top of that one, which is also very costly.
Rich, when we get these, I guess, layers redone, is there no warranty from the provider?
Only for like a year. It's a year warranty, and then of course, if you have a lot of things will void the warranty if there's insufficient vapor barrier cracking. You can see it, the efflorescence coming through the cracks just because of the water issue. I think it would void the warranty that they have on it.
And I'll ask the same question. I always ask multiple quotes.
No, I just had one quote. It's the company we've dealt with before. I mean, overall, we've been satisfied with them. I guess I could get additional quotes if you'd like.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to approve this? Is there a second? Any more questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. It carried. Next, sir.
And the next one is the pavilion. It has spider web issues, dirt daubers, etc. It needs a general cleaning. We've done it in-house before and had really little success. And incredibly hard to get the spider webs off the rough sod cedar, and had the height issue of being 26, 30 feet up in the air. So I got a couple bids for deep clean, and I got a bid from Marvin to do a misting system to prevent the spider webs from coming back in the future, just because of the time consuming effort and cost to actually get the spider webs off. The cost, for basically 4 to 5 days for 2 people to go up on the lift and remove the spider webs is over $5,000. And then there's the misting system, which would hopefully prevent these, which had just good feedback from some members here that it does work, that would prevent having the spider webs in. So it's more of a cosmetic thing, etc. But I think the spider webs are unsightly, and they just, they're compounding, they're impossible to get rid of. So I'm asking for the money for the deep clean, which being unbudgeted O&M expense, and then for the install of a new misting system for another, $9,200. What I don't have in there is I would need a lift as well, probably on 2 occasions. But I asked another $1,600 for RV, asking for $16,000 not to exceed total.
So is it your guys doing the cleaning, or is it?
No, right now I have Anderson doing it. Just because of the time, it's not.
I actually have a question, but how are they going to clean the wood? Because you can't just pressure wash it, that's going to leave marks, obviously. So that was one of my questions.
Exactly. again, they have different solutions to use, and then from what I've seen, it's kind of like a roller lip remover with the solution they use. They actually have to scrub each one off by hand. That's why it's time consuming. You can't go there with a power spray or get it up.
I have a question. I don't have any problem getting this thing cleaned, and it does look bad, but they're gonna use Piranha. They got 2 55-gallon drums of Piranha that they're gonna spray. I don't know if they spray every night or how they do that. Have lots of questions on that. I've had several people mention to me that they, not for that, we're gonna take up all the tables every time, or we're gonna wipe off all the chairs where people eat out there, people gather. I looked up, just Google Piranha, which kind of concerns me because anybody in our community can do that. And it said this pesticide is extremely toxic to aquatic organisms, including fish and invertebrates. To protect the environment, do not allow pesticides to enter or run off into any storm drains, drainage ditches, gutters, or surfaces. Apply this product to calm weather when rain is not predicted for the next 24 hours, blah, on and on and on. My concern is a community member Googles that and shuts us down. We've got $9,000 up in the roof that we can't use. Who's going to fix the nozzles? Who's going to, have lots of questions on that.
And the nozzles will be taking care of the general maintenance. We have to pay the chemical fee monthly. And the misters will spray up, but yeah, it will come down, so it'll have to go. It'll be going off at like 2 a.m. in the morning, so not concerned for people per se, but yeah, you'll have to watch out for like where it falls, and everything will have to be moved out of the way. Right.
I've talked to people that have this system and they love it, but it does leave a film on everything on their dock. And we've got, 40 tables and 200 chairs.
Yeah, that would all have to be removed every night.
Yeah.
And then, we'd have to set up a schedule, but yeah, it has to go up all the time.
Is there some chemical alternative to this? I mean, is that virtually it?
Not that I know of that would work.
Marvin, I have this system. Marvin said that the chemical that we use is an organic chemical.
Chemical they're using is written right here.
Well, I understand. I'm just.
And it is a natural type chemical. I've sold those chemicals that you can use them in dairy barns and stuff, but they still have warning labels and they still leave a film every time they spray. And like I said, we're on a lake, and that's awful close to the lake, and it said it's extremely toxic to aquatic organisms. And my concern is someone making one phone call to the state and we're shut down, and we've got $9,000 up there we can't use. I would rather see them, do a hand spray or something monthly or something to just slow it down. How long has it been since we cleaned it?
We should never will. We did it last year, but
So, I would rather see us do this every 4 or 5 years and then try to prolong it with hand spray than risk putting, and then what's that gonna look like with all those tubes and all that going over? I'm not good for that.
I have a question. So I go back to what Dean said. We currently leave our tables and our chairs out there every night. And so not only are they deteriorating because they're left out there, but you're going to cover them all, plus the stage and stuff like that. And we do it all the time. And so that's extremely labor intensive from our staff perspective, from our maintenance people putting them in and putting them out. And my guess is you're going to have some of those sprayers also inside that, the room where you keep everything, where you're going to have some in there.
no, the sprayers won't be there, but the chemical.
Okay, all right. And so, I would agree with Dean. I mean, I think you're going to create an issue for our residents, just the way that it's set up right now. Because it's so labor intensive to put those tables out, having done it. And so I know what it's like, and to be able to have to clean them every time, that would be really difficult. just like on Saturday when they were out there and had all the rain that was there, so. That created a lot of issues that were there.
So it hadn't been cleaned yet.
No, I'm waiting, I mean, I'm not gonna clean
No,
it,
I'm saying, and since we built it, it hasn't been really cleaned.
not thoroughly, no.
Okay, so if we did the cleaning now and then continued our research on what an alternative might be.
My concern is, I mean, there'll be no time for the spider webs are back, you're gonna clean it during the, they're gonna be back on there. I mean, you know, from the docks out here, that's what happened. That, you know, a lot of the dock sees it out here, not that that's right or wrong, but I mean, prevalent out here.
I'd like to insert, my guy that sprays my house will not spray my dog. So some don't.
Yeah, my system is up on my deck. You know, 75 feet from. Okay, any more comments or questions? Is there a motion to approve this expense?
You have a question? When do you plan on doing that? If it's
Oh.
approved, when?
I wouldn't probably be doing it until fall, it's starting to get too busy out there. And it's the amount of time it's gonna take, and I was looking at scheduling, I just don't think it's feasible.
So we wouldn't do anything until the fall.
Right, so I can look into different alternatives as well.
So that might be a better option, is that you look for some different alternatives and things like that. But you're not gonna clean it until then either. Okay, all right, okay.
You want to wait and vote closer to the date you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll, yeah. Is there anything else, Rich?
Well, just moving on to the car sheet right now, just for review. I updated it, really don't have anything added to it per se, although I changed some values, something, you know, actually increased quite a bit. Mainly the dam numbers. I got some additional costs, as I stated, for the low flow outlet. Right now, they have a wide range. I'm trying to narrow in the number, but the number is from 120 to 260,000. So I put in the high number, as that's what it always seems it to be. So just.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
So what were they looking at doing on that low flow?
Well, yeah, there's a couple options, and you know, depending on what we want to do. Some of it's our choice, but what I would be looking at doing is fixing the low flow valve as it sits, which is power, and then putting in another valve at the outlet at where the original Indian Creek used to end up, and fixing all of that so it's completely operative. The other thing you can do is you can fix the valve, the existing valve, and not put in a secondary valve. But, you know, I'd rather have a duplicity just in case, you know, if we do open it and there's issues somewhere else down the line. They did give the blessing on the pipe and everything else. Right now, we're not opening it because we don't know if we can close it. But relatively, everything else does look fine, but it's still investigative work.
That's one way to do the river others.
That's right. Another thing I'd like to do is we are responsible to be able to supply water to Dallas on demand. We looked into, well, let's say if we abandon the low flow valve completely. If we abandon it completely, we'd have to have some way of getting that water out. They did the study, I forget the size of the pumps, but basically industrial pumps, you know, large oil field pumps, etc. It would take 12 or 13 to equal the volume that the low flow valve can put out. So it's not really practical. Plus, we'd have to get permission from TCEQ, and most likely we'd have to purchase those pumps, have them stationed, and it couldn't, you know, we couldn't call for them when we needed to. So practicality wise, I would go for the full out of fixing the valve, putting in a duplicate valve, and just redoing the whole system, which will be about $260,000 right now.
Does every other lake around here have this that's called, do they have this local valve, or do they rely on pumps or et cetera?
It depends on the lake and where they are. For our permit, for when we got the dam, it was Dallas Water. So for us to get the water right permits, we have to have that for them. So that's specifically to us as I know, but I know that condition probably is elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm just, you can rent a lot of water month for $260,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Much money.
Well, that's what I said, I don't know if we can rent them, because again, it has to be on demand. I don't know if they'd all be available on a.
Well, I rent water from them, so I'm happy to rent it to you.
Well, and then TCQ would have to allow that. That's something we can investigate, but I mean, the feeling from our consultant and myself, we don't think TCQ would allow that. I don't know if that would be a conflict.
I do have a question. What's the requirement? Is the requirement to have a local valve or is it have redundancy?
The requirement is that we have a local valve.
A local valve.
That's correct.
Well, I'm assuming that when they fixed it, they would do the one below the dam first. And then that's gonna hold the pressure of the lake if the other one fails.
Correct.
Which is $260,000, right?
That's correct.
Okay. How much does it cost to get rid of the river otters?
Another benefit to having a valve that we can use on demand and be confident of is when we do the downstream repairs, we will need to lower the lake by about 2 to 3 feet. Because to do those repairs, you can't have any water going over the spillway. So when we do those repairs, we'll have to do that. Another advantage is whenever there's going to be a storm and we're going to have excessively high levels of lake level, we can lower it on demand when we want. So we don't have water going over the lake walls, et cetera.
So what are you planning to do with the dam repairs that we have to lower the lake 3 feet?
Whenever they're in.
Okay, I would point out to everyone that if we do everything that is on the schedule to be done this year, we won't have a whole bunch of money left in the car for the end of the year. So if we want to do things for the 52 acres, that may have to be postponed into 2025. So, anything else, Rich?
Just wanted to note that we are going through some IT information work. Was supposed to be completed on March 1st. We've run into some difficulties. So we've had some Wi-Fi issues, some TV issues, some email issues. They're all being resolved, but it's slow move. Just be patient with any inconveniences you have around.
Okay. Is there any way that we can give notice to constituents that would depend on our email system and our cloud that we're having a problem before we, bring them to a screech and all?
Right. We did send out a constant contact, but it's even like right now we can't change the message board from having difficulties with that. So we have different difficulties getting some information out.
Okay. All right. Well, Pete mentioned that he would appreciate a heads up well in advance of, because we can't not get the communicate out.
I know, like I said, a lot of this is unforeseen. Every time we do something, there seems to be another issue, or like one thing is the IP address is just manually dropped, so then they have to be reconnected. And that's a station by station.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there any additional business that we need to discuss?
I do have one more question for Rich on the schedule that he gave us. There's several different projects that are coming up in the second quarter, like the lodge, painting and staining, roof and stuff like that. As we get closer to those, is there a time frame that you're looking for those?
Well, some of those we're working on, working with Jeremy, we're trying to get some bids on the building roof and the TV. So we're waiting on bids so that could come anytime, but I'm waiting on getting those. The lodge, painting is per the law. I'd like to do that before we put the roof on. So I'm trying to coordinate some things depending on how they fall.
And on the one lane bridge, does that close down that bridge whenever they go and they're gonna do repairs and stuff like that for a period of time?
For periods of time, yeah, a lot of it's gonna be underneath and on the sides, but for periods of time, it will be closed. And then I'm trying to have one good bid, but I'm also looking at alternatives, because that was just a sandblast and paint. And then trying to see what else we can do for that, and get some other contractors, but they're not easy to find. And then just a note that was inspected, I mean, that could push out next year if we had to. We have another 2 years or so before we really have to do something about it.
Any other questions? Okay. Any additional business? Okay. Now, we're gonna push that to, the meeting next, workshop. Sorry. Okay. We're now to the second opportunity for the members to speak. If you have something that you'd like to say, please raise your hand and you say your lot number. And Rich will bring you a microphone.
Jim Marcus, lot 177. I had a question on Rich's last slide. It said there was money allocated for the pickleball court. Has that been voted on by the CDRF? Has that been voted on by the board?
No, sir.
So that's just a possibility?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, just to make it clear, the screen that was up just on top, it said approved, everything else is just pending or items that are on the list for report, be kind of just a schedule of this.
Rich.
Ken Lonzo, lot 169. I had a question or clarification on the rule that y'all voted on, concerning the off-road.
Yes, sir.
And I apologize for not making comments before y'all discussed it. I had George sent me the copy of the revision this morning. I read it and I thought I understood it, but it's quite apparent. Apparently I don't understand it. The way I read that was that, and I've reread it 20 times sitting back here in the chair, that if you do certain,
If you comply.
you are allowed to do the off-road vehicles on the roads. Okay, well, he said they're not allowed at all.
No, if you comply with the restrictions, off-highway vehicles are.
Okay. I thought I misheard it again. Thank you.
George, you want to respond to that?
I think Rich just did. Yeah. Rich answered this question. You have to comply with the rules. Right. I've heard something different. So my apologies.
Okay,
You have a question?
yeah, that's not what George said. George said that they would not be allowed.
No, the off-highway vehicles will be allowed if they comply with all those restrictions. That's how it's stated.
That's not what we voted on.
Okay.
We voted on that he said they would not be allowed.
I heard. Well, that's my dad's opinion.
Well, it's very confusing.
Well, we'll just go right to that one part. The second, any motor vehicle other than golf carts, handicap mobility vehicles, POA-owned vehicles that has been built, manufactured, designed for off-highway use, unless otherwise approved by community managers, shall not be operated on association property unless. So, I mean, they're not allowed unless they comply with those restrictions.
State license, proof of insurance, lot numbers, state issued license plates.
I apologize, because
Ours is not red.
I know tablets, I mean, I don't know why some's color and some, I don't know. But it's always, was always red.
Discussion, Nancy said, so are ATVs, et cetera, whatever she called them, allowed, and the consensus was no. That was how we kind of ended that discussion. No, I read it. Yeah, you asked a question, am I right? Or somebody did? You did.
Okay, so,
Well, it's the language, I mean, whether, however you interpret it, make a void on me.
so what do you say? So,
This, the way we left it was this was published.
Right.
And it was interpreted, however it's supposed to be interpreted, but that's one that's without.
Yes, sir.
So this wasn't the final vote, this is just what's gonna be proposed.
Correct, it will be published tomorrow or the next day in constant contact.
Okay. And I apologize for missing it due to another meeting, but, is like the golf scooters that are becoming very popular, is that considered in this? Those golf carts, and again, it's not listed for those vehicles, just a mention.
That's a different rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different rule.
Okay.
So the motion was actually to post this constant contact for future.
Okay, we'll post it. Is that all the comments? Being no more, we will, unless you have a problem with it, we will recess for 10 minutes and then return in executive session. Thank you for your attendance tonight.